Does Eddie Abbew's diet mindset work for the South Asian Indian community? Let's find out. Now, Uncle Eddie has been on everyone's phone, Instagram, TikTok in the last couple of months. His rise to stardom, if you call Instagram and influencers and followers stardom, has been really dramatic because of his outspoken views and his no bullshit approach and just taking on the supermarkets by storm and just going in and giving it a what for. So let's unpack whether this can actually work within the community that I work with, the South Asian and the Indian population, and helping them get in amazing shape. Is Eddie's wise words so wise? But before you do that, we need to understand where this is coming from. Now, as being around, hanging around bodybuilders and doing photo shoot competitions and being a part of the clique that he was once part of on a smaller scale, I wasn't as big as Eddie, obviously. Not many people were. But we have to understand that from a bodybuilding perspective, most people who make it to an elite level take away their whole identity of emotions around food. They become technicians with food. It's about performance, fuel. It's about putting the right stuff into your body to get a desired outcome. And that's where most of this mindset comes from when he's like, don't eat that shit, don't eat that shit, don't eat that shit. It's because he doesn't see the benefits of it. He just sees the negative. Now, working with the Indian and South Asian community is that food is all about emotion, all about the good times and having it as part of the family and having it as part of the community and having that, and the food being there for the good times, the bad times and the indifferent times. And growing up like that creates a different identity and a behavior than the mechanical, unemotional bodybuilding mindset. And someone who went into bodybuilding and still couldn't have that mindset, you could call me ill-disciplined, or you could say that I just liked food emotionally as well as just want the benefits it was. And that's what creates a particular problem when saying these things like, don't eat this shit, don't eat this shit, don't eat this shit, it's bad for you, it's bad for you, bad for you. It's like, of course, unprocessed food are super beneficial. His love for eggs is fantastic, but if you're Swaminarayan, Jain or veggie, it probably doesn't apply to you. And his ability to look at foods and kind of say that there's obviously better alternatives is probably a really good thing for the industry. But only putting in foods that you should have to fuel your body 100% of the time negates half the reason why most people like food in the first place. And most people wouldn't have a coping mechanism or have worse coping mechanisms if they didn't have food to create some pleasure, because they might use alcohol, drugs and whatever else. Probably okay to have a glass of wine or have a chocolate bar once in a while to use as an emotional coping mechanism. I'm all for that because that is simply easier way to go than vaping your tits off. Looking how he does at food, where it's all about fuel and what it gives you, is great if you have that ability to have that mindset. That's for the optimized person. That's for the performance mindseted person where you'll only want to get the benefits and only the positive and only the best. But most people that just want to lose weight can take 80% of his message and do really well. But as soon as you go to totality of everything being the Eddie Abbew way, you're going to then struggle with adherence long term, because it might be something you do for a week or 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and you might completely be 1 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 that completely change their habit to never have chocolate, never have 50-50 bread, or never have low fat yogurt ever again, because that's not what he preaches. But the reality situation is that for most people, there's a blend between the two. Like, hyperbolic gets views. Shouting your dick off on social media gets views. And having a very, very explicit point gets views. But when you look at adherence and Jill or Shilpa, who's 45 years old, got 2 kids, and doesn't have any nutritional knowledge, will be able to take half the things that Eddie Abbew say and really implement it. But when there's no enjoyment of food, there's no consideration for what about life and having a nicety and having a treat and having those things, what about those? Because if they lose 20 kilos and still have a little treat, surely they're in a better position than going teetotal forever, because emotionally they get some benefit. So I think his views are good in a way where it motivates the masses, and the more people that you have in your following, the more you have to push towards them a good message. I would just say from a South Asian and Indian perspective, when we look at the cultural dynamics and the expectations of food and how that was growing up, it's going to take a mammoth shift to get his desired outcome. It's going to take people to completely change their lifestyle, completely change their emotional state, completely change their thought process around what food means. And while some people might get there, a lot of people won't, which means that a lot of people won't be helped if this is the only way to do it. The way we help clients is that we understand that there's some structure that needs the unprocessed foods, for sure, getting protein in, getting veggies in, doing all the good stuff, understanding calories in, calories out, which obviously Eddie disagrees with, but it's something that he's wrong about. Thermodynamics is the key. It's like there's a whole element of consistency and adherence that goes into losing weight. And if people take away their nice food, their takeaways, their socializing, their alcohol intake, for example, they miss a large component of life of what it's like to have a normal lifestyle. And that means that people always revert back to the mean. People will always revert back to the norm, which means that what everyone else is doing. And if you don't teach people how to eat the norm, be the norm, drink alcohol like the norm, eat dessert like the norm, have a chocolate bar like the norm, people just get uneducated and they think they can't have it. But everyone should understand they can have every food that there is. You just have to understand how to have it within a diet. And yes, eat 3 chocolate bars a day and having a KFC probably won't be optimal. But if you're having a KFC once every 2 months or 1 month and not having a takeaway every weekend, surely that's a win compared to where they were before. So his message is good, just needs a few tweaks. I would just shorten the message to don't eat unprocessed food, don't be a dick with your eating, learn the right foods to eat, get a high protein diet, and then also learn how when you want these other foods that are shit, learn how to have them, learn when to have them, learn in what moderation, and you can find the balance between the two.